Good afternoon, class. My name is Jessica Pollock, and I'm going to be presenting Chapter 6 of our textbook. Chapter 6 covers motivating behavior with work and rewards. There is a PowerPoint presentation that you can follow along with that I've dropped into the thread on Blackboard. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So this chapter really is about how we motivate persons with work and rewards and then enhancing performance in organizations. In Chapter 5, we spent a lot of time looking at different perspectives on motivation, and now in Chapter 6, we see how managers can effectively motivate positive behaviors in their employees with work and rewards. The chapter outline has various methods that we're going to look at today, and those are job design, employee participation, flexible work schedules, goal setting, performance management, and organizational rewards. So we're going to jump to the next slide. So the first thing we're going to touch on is job design in organization. And job design essentially is how organizations define and structure the various jobs that their employees are doing. The idea is that if the job is properly designed, it's more likely to increase motivation, performance, and job satisfaction. And there are some various components of job design that we're going to talk through really quickly, and those are job specialization, job rotation, job enlargement, and job enrichment. Specialization is kind of breaking down jobs into small components of tasks and kind of making them standard across the organization. Job rotation is shifting workers from one job to the next to try to keep them motivated. And job enlargement is expanding a worker's job to include tasks that were previously performed by other workers, so kind of like a cross-training component there. And then job enrichment is giving workers more tasks to perform and more control over how to perform them. And I think that this component of job design is most appealing to most employees, because if they have the ability to be able to feel like they have control over the tasks that they've been assigned and how they perform them, they're more than likely to stay motivated on their job. So job characteristics theory, this theory focuses specific on motivational properties of jobs. So it focuses more on the psychological states of employees. So the idea is that if the employee is to experience these states at a higher level, they're likely to feel good about their job. And the three states that are described in our textbook are their meaningfulness to work, responsibility for work outcomes, and the knowledge of results. If persons feel that their work is meaningful, more than likely they're going to feel like they're more satisfied in their job. If they have a level of responsibility for the outcome, so if we are dictating what somebody should do for a task, but then you share with them what the outcome of their task was, they're also more likely to feel motivated and good about their contribution to that task. And then the knowledge of results is this also feedback loop of letting them know how their task impacted the greater project. Next slide. So continuing on characteristics theory, there's 5 characteristics of a job. It's skill variety, task identity, task significance, autonomy, and feedback. So skill variety is that the job requires a variety of activities that involve different skills and talents. Task identity is that the job has a beginning and an end with a tangible outcome. Task significant is that the job affects the lives of the people both inside the organization and outside the organization. Autonomy allows a staff member the freedom and independence to schedule their own work and determine how they're going to complete their work. And then feedback is job activities that give the individual clear and direct information about the effectiveness of their performance. So as we can see, there's multiple different components of what a job is, and there's a lot of different things that go into it to keep an employee motivated. Next slide. So the next thing that we're going to look at now is employee participation. So this is the idea that motivation can be enhanced through the use of participation and empowerment. You're allowing staff members to provide input rather than dictating to them what it is that they should do. Managers who are able to clearly define goals, model successful behaviors, send positive messages, and connect with employees about the outcome of their work are more than likely in a position to motivate their employees to stay motivated and to feel like they're making a bigger and greater contribution to the organization. The next major thing that we're going to talk about is flexible work schedules. And just going back through all of these different things, these are components that managers can use now to continue to motivate their staff. So whether it's getting your employee to participate with you and kind of have this ongoing dialogue about the tasks that they've been assigned and the projects that they've been assigned, and there's this constant feedback loop. These are the things that are able to empower employees, which is something that we're going to talk about a little bit later on, but empower them and allow them to feel more satisfied in their jobs. So another way to motivate persons is with flexible work schedules, and this basically is just the flexibility that a manager would give an employee to do their work when they want to do it and how they want to do it. There's 3 different types of work schedules that were identified in the chapter, and those are a compressed work schedule, a 980 work schedule, and an extended work schedule. The compressed one is that an employee works a full 40 hours in less than 5 days. The 980 is that they work a traditional work schedule in 1 week, and they get every other Friday off. And then an extended work schedule is that they have long periods of work and then long periods of paid time off. This allows employees to tailor their day and their needs and their location as to how they're getting their work done. And I know for me, working in a managerial position with the Cayman Islands Department of Tourism, I know that being able to be flexible with my employees as to what time they come into work, when they get to leave, is a big motivator for persons, because they're able to really focus on their tasks and their job during the time that they're here, but then they can always leave and know when they should come into the office and when they should leave, so that they can still have their personal lives. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is goal setting and motivation, and how that can motivate staff members. And the thing is that goals need to be meaningful. You know, a lot of times companies just say, well, we need to have a goal, and a lot of the time that goal is a little bit unattainable, or maybe it's a little far-fetched, and maybe not all employees are buying into that goal. So it's really important that managers and employees work together in order to set goals and to come to a mutually agreeable description of what the goals should be, so that everyone's on the same page to move forward. I know that that's a big component of how employees can continue to feel good about their jobs, because they have been able to participate in the goal setting for the actual organization, and they feel like they've contributed something to the greater goal of the department or organization. So goal setting theory, this is the theory that assumes that behavior is a result of conscious goals and intentions. And there are 2 types of goal characteristics. There's goal difficulty and there's goal specificity. And underneath goal specificity is the acceptance, goal commitment, and then the management of objectives. But if we go back to goal difficulty, this talks about, is the goal difficult to achieve? It really can't be too hard and something that's unachievable. If you sit down with your staff members and you're trying to decide, well, this is our top goal for this year, it has to be something that is manageable and achievable. People like a challenge, but something that is a little too far-fetched makes it very overwhelming for staff members, and that's something that you want to try to avoid. And then when you're being specific about your goal now, this is that it's the clarity and the precision of the goal. It's really spelling out what it is that you want. I know in my current job, we have a vision and a mission statement, but our goals are very specific to what we want to do. So they're tied to perhaps the number of air arrivals that we want to hit for the year, how we want to plan our sustainable projects, things that we want to specifically impact the destination, and they're very specific and very spelled out, so that everyone knows this is what we're working on. This is how all of our tasks are driven to, in order to be able to deliver on these goals. So the management by objectives is just simply a collaborative goal setting process in which the organization is able to cascade goals down throughout the organization. So it's, if managers are coming up with various goals, they're able to disseminate that information down to employees so that they themselves too know what the major goals are for the organization. So the next slide now is performance management, and this is the actual measurement of performance in an individual or a group. And I know in most organizations this is standard. This is a really great way for you to be able to provide feedback to your employees. I know that in my current role, we do them biannually, twice a year, so that it allows the appraiser, myself as the manager, and the appraisee, my employees, the opportunity to get feedback on a 6-month basis so that they know where they're at, they know what they're doing well, they know what they're not doing well, and now they have 6 months to be able to fix those things that they're not doing well. So it really is a great tool to be able to measure the performance of your staff member and the tasks that they're trying to complete. The book talks about a balanced scorecard. This is a structured performance management technique that identifies financial and non-financial performance measures and organizes them into a single model. And basically at the core of this balanced scorecard is the vision and mission, is what the book talks about. So coming towards the tail end of this presentation, now we're going to talk about individual rewards in organizations. Rewards now are, a system that is able to attract and retain and motivate qualified employees. The book talks about 2 different types of values, a surface value and a symbolic value. A surface value is the objective meaning or the worth of a reward, and the symbolic value is, it's subjective, it's personal, and it's kind of the worth of the reward. So different types of reward now that we're going to talk through are base pay, incentive systems, direct compensation, prerequisites, and awards. And base pay essentially is, that's a symbolization of an employee's worth right from the start. You can motivate persons by saying, here's the base pay that I want to give you based on your qualifications. And it can be used both negatively and positively, but if you have a really high-performing, or what you perceive to be a high-performing employee, you can offer them a very high base pay to start off. And if you have somebody that you feel that may not be a top performer, you can offer a different base pay, and then lead into these different incentive systems that we're going to talk about in order to continue to motivate that person so that they can get a higher salary moving down the line. And incentive systems, as I've just mentioned, is kind of that additional compensation in return for certain types of performance. So if you have a person at a certain base pay, these incentive systems allow for persons to have the opportunity to increase their salary based on performance. Indirect compensation is employees' benefits that are provided as a form of compensation. So for example, a great pension or great health care, insurance policy are really great rewards for employees. Prerequisites are like special privileges that selected members of the organization get. So usually it's like top managers, but these are kind of the perks of the job. These are the types of rewards that top managers are able to kind of indulge in. Maybe it's the use of a private jet, use of company rewards through a credit card system, or maybe it's being a member at your local country club. And then obviously rewards are actual physical awards. So, you are recognizing somebody for a job well done, and providing them with a physical award that they're able to display and use as motivation for themselves. And then I just want to talk through now some of the issues in rewarding performance. And the book talks about linking performance to rewards. This is if there is some symbolic value of a person's pay, there should be a perception that the employee performance is linked to awards. So, for example, if persons are all on the same pay scale, they are not likely to feel motivated because it's a level playing field. Other persons may see that as an opportunity for them to do well and outperform themselves in order to try to get away from that base pay. But that's one problem, that our issue in trying to reward performance. Flexible reward systems is that employees get to choose what their rewards should be, like within means. For example, we talked about when an employee comes on for the first time, perhaps they're going to negotiate a base pay before they accept the job, or perhaps they're going to try to get a better health insurance coverage. It's just based on what is important to the employee. And the I can't say that one today, but pay systems, you can see it there on the slide. This is designed by staff members in organizations in an HR department, perhaps top managers and other consultants, where everyone has a say about how pay systems are established. And the problem with that is that if you're getting consultants and HR and managers involved, you're really not allowing the employee to have a say in how they want to be paid. And then pay secrecy is kind of evident. It's that, persons should be able to, some companies keep it very quiet as to what persons are making. Other organizations will be very open and honest about what a salary scale is. And I know that coming from a government background, that is a subject that really isn't talked about quite a bit, but there is a lot of feelings, as they would call here in the Cayman Islands, about persons' salaries and who's making what and everything else. And it just works out better that it's kept in private, because if it was really open, you get into this very tense situation with persons perhaps in the same kind of job title, but they're getting different salaries because maybe one negotiated and one did not. And then expatriate compensation. I thought this was very interesting. Coming from the Cayman Islands, there's a lot of people that are expatriates here, a lot of people from different countries and cultures that are living here in the Cayman Islands. And this idea of, these persons working for an international firm and now moving to the Cayman Islands, perhaps maybe they were making a certain pay in their jurisdiction that was manageable for where they were living, but now they come to another destination and another area of work where the cost of living is a lot higher, and now salaries have to be negotiated in order to be able to compensate for that person moving over and being able to still provide them with the lifestyle that they had back in their home country. And that kind of wraps up Chapter 6. I hope you've enjoyed it. My question here is, what motivates you in your current job? Are you motivated by money, rewards, recognition? I just asked that you explain. For me, I'm not very motivated by money. I'm very much motivated by recognition. Somebody saying, job well done, and thank you for doing a great job, really goes a long way for me personally. Money's great, but being able to be recognized that you've made a contribution is really important to me. So I thank you for your time. I hope you've enjoyed it, and see you soon.